You cannot compare the two. Only 30% of the population was slave owners. That's not. What are you trying to deflect and making it seem like it's less than what it was? I mean, it was cruelty. It was millions of people that were displaced. It happened not only to Africans that were from Africa, but also Egyptians. It happened in the Roman times. The word slave has been used. I mean, like, slave force was what built the pyramids. I mean, it still happens today, except it's not called slavery anymore. It's like, but yeah, it's still, you're calling 3% of all the world were slave owners, but you're talking specifically about Americans, right? Is that what you're saying? But it still doesn't, there were millions of people that died, and millions of people that got displaced and died along the way. And then even if they did make it alive, they spent the rest of their lives in slavery. So how does that 3% have anything to do with the fact that there were millions of people that were tortured? Right? But that's okay. You can still try and hide your racism against things like, but only 3% were slave owners. So what? It still affected a shit ton of people that shouldn't have been affected at all, right? Chinese and Irish were slaves, got paid for services. Yeah, currently there's, modern slavery, which is basically what's happening in Dubai, where they take away the passports of a lot of workers, and they force them to work in conditions where even tourists are not allowed to go outside because they get heat stroke. They're still forced to work in that environment, and they drink a lot of water, but they don't pee for like weeks on end because it's too hot, and they sweat it out, and they force them to sleep in like tents in like a small cramped room, and that's modern slavery. Kids in the sweatshops. Yeah. It's not as cruel sometimes as it's not as blatant, I guess. There's no like cargoes and cargoes of ships and like really big markets where you can actually go walk in and like pick up slaves. It's very like underground nowadays, but it still does exist, yeah. There's a demand, there's a supplier, yep. Hi, Stormer. You ever read up on the Arab slave trade? It's bad. I mean, it's sad that it's still happening, but it does happen. And you can't just say like, oh, it's not as bad as before. It still happens, man. Imagine if you were in their shoes, oh, it's not nearly as many people as it was before, but if you are actually a slave, if you're in that shoe, in their shoes, it doesn't change the fact that your life is just as shit as the people back in the day, Yeah, sucks. You're personally offended. Yeah, it's like you can sniff out the insult out of me. This is what you call insult. I don't know. It's just you sniff them out. fact that it happens in modern times is ridiculous, and the fact that it happens despite people knowing about it, you know, it's sad, but